Perfect. Okay. So let me just start real quick. Welcome back to the CEO podcast, where we dive into the stories behind the leaders shaping the cannabis industry, the visionaries, the risk takers, and the purpose driven entrepreneurs who are changing the game. I'm your host, Paul Garduque, and today I'm sitting down with Nate Landau, the co founder of Snowtill. Did I get that right?
A co-founder and COO of Snowtill.
COO, thank you. And we're going to go beyond business today, exploring the core four areas that define who we are: body, being, balance, and business. Nate, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. How you doing today?
Pretty good.
Excellent. Excellent. All righty. So let's get started. Let's start with your journey. Before the brand, before the business, who are you and how'd you end up in the cannabis space?
Okay. I'm Nate Landau. I'm 40 years old. I had a bunch of different careers prior to cannabis. The last one I had before getting to cannabis, I was an event planner. It was a lot of fun, made a lot of great connections, but my soul wasn't really in it. And then in 2013, I came to visit a friend in California, and we went up to the Emerald Triangle. For those who don't know, it's the three counties in Northern California: Humboldt, Mendocino, and Trinity. And I never saw a weed plant before in my life. And he took me to his friend's farm in Mendocino, and he had 3 greenhouses full of plants. And I was like, "Aren't you afraid?" And he's like, "No, it's California." And right then and there, I was like, "All right, there's something here. I should get back." So I still went back to New York for a year and a half. But then I decided, it was the end of 2014, Colorado and Washington legalized. I was seeing the writing on the wall, and I was always a consumer and a patient and was really into it. But I was like, I feel like this is something where I can have a future in. So in the beginning of 2015, I just packed my bags and moved to California and jumped in head first.
Nice. Yes, we are famous for that in California. One of the things, that in Hollywood. Well, what problem or purpose drives your mission today?
And so right when I started, I did traditional agriculture in an outdoor season, but something didn't feel right. I was in this beautiful forest. Everything was growing beautifully around me without any chemical nutrients or pesticides. And this didn't feel right, but I'm learning from somebody, and that's how I knew. And then my current business partner, Joseph Snow, was introduced to me by his older brother, and he told me about no-till living soil. And first conversation, I didn't understand the concept, but my guy was telling me this is what it is. And I'll give a brief explanation. What it is 2 parts: no-till and living soil. So we don't till our soil. We use the same soil every time. And as well, it's living soil. So we have worms and beneficial microbials and all those different things. So it allows the plant to maximize its genetic potential because it takes what it wants when it wants it. So we were really important for us to get quality, but it's also people with compromised immune systems consume our product. We want to make sure that they're putting the best stuff in the body. So it's really important for us for people that are doing it recreationally to have the highest quality, and people that are doing it for medicine have the best medicine out there.
Okay. I admit this is a little technical. I've never done this before, but I have to ask, doesn't it affect your topsoil in the long run if you don't till it?
It's actually a benefit. The tilling of it is a short-term fix, but it actually destroys the soil food web. There's a very great book called Dirt, where the guy does historical research, and he shows civilizations that treated their soil like dirt fell apart quicker than the ones that did stuff to mitigate it. And in different shape or form, they've practiced no-till throughout the century. And if you want to learn more about it, our inspiration, I hope I get his name right, Masasu Fukuoka. He was a Japanese scientist. He worked for the customs, and he was seeing all these pathogens in his produce. And then one day he was walking by abandoned rice field, and it was the nicest rice he ever seen. And he had his come to Jesus moment and decided to quit his job and move back to his father's farm and develop this. He called it the next generation of organics. It's called natural farming.
Oh, okay. Great. Well, let me ask you this then. What do you wish more people understood about this industry and your role in it?
So what we really hope is that people, at the end of the day, you could have a million things, but the effect you get from the cannabis is what, at the end of the day, you're looking for. Sure, the smell, the taste, the way it burns, and all those things are important. At the end of the day, you're consuming it for a certain effect. And unfortunately, still today, although we're starting to see some changes, the THC percentage is still, for most consumers, the number one indicator if to buy it or not. And we all know that a lot of THC numbers are inflated. And even if the test results are accurate, that doesn't, guarantee that that'll be good. At the end, then we know terpenes are the things that modulate the effects of some of. We have a thing called Mirage. It gets me one of the highest that we have, but we can't release it to market because it never tests over 16% THC. So that is something that we really, really want to change in the industry. That's why we always make sure to get a terpene test. We put it on our labels, and it's something that we're constantly advocating for. The no-till living soil, we want everyone to adopt it, but even if you're doing hydroponics or whatever other way you're growing it, that the focus goes from THC percentage to the terpenes and the effect that you actually get from them.
Oh, okay. That's powerful. It's always fascinating to see how passion and purpose align. Let's shift gears a little and talk about you, the person behind the work, starting with your body. So, running a cannabis company takes serious stamina, mentally and physically. How do you keep your energy and focus sharp?
Okay, so if anyone is not in the industry and thinking about it, you have to have a lot of passion and the patience of a Buddhist monk to get into it. Do not get into it. I've been doing it for over a decade. This is, I'm a lifer, but you have to have something that grounds you. So every morning, no matter how early I have to get up, I really found that it's worth it to dedicate about an hour to myself before I start my day. So I get up, I start with the meditation, then a workout, some yoga, then some reading or something that's for myself before I touch my phone. Then make sure I eat a good breakfast. So I try to do all that. That takes me about an hour. Make sure that I have food, I've centered myself, all this stuff before I go on to a crazy day that can sometimes be 12 or 13 hours long.
Wow, that is a long day. Well, that leads to my next question. How do you manage stress or decompress after a long day?
So I am very fortunate to have an amazing fiance that is very supportive and giving, and she always makes sure there's a good dinner. I love eating, and good food is always very comforting. And then also just, take a deep breath and remind myself, I gave it my all today, I'll give it my all tomorrow, but there's just so much you can achieve in one day. And it's all about setting the right goals and right expectations. You don't want to set the bar too low because then you'd be shortchanging yourself, but you don't want to set the bar too high because if you make unrealistic expectations from yourself, then you're just going to be disappointed.
True. And you're setting yourself up to fail too, which is not a good thing, especially not in this industry. Well, have you noticed how taking care of your body impacts your leadership or decision making?
Oh, absolutely. There are times where I've gotten overwhelmed and let go of my morning routine or different stuff like that. And that impacts my mental health, and my mental health isn't at peak performance, and I will make mistakes that I usually don't. I will not be as patient with my employees as I should be. So absolutely, taking care of your mind, body, and soul is really, really important because at the end of the day, especially as a leader, your energy, people feed off your energy. And if your energy is not good, you're going to ruin the energy for everybody else.
Very true. Having been on the, not so much the receiver of downer energy, the more giver downer energy. Yeah. I've learned the hard way it can backfire. Not a good thing, but it's happened to me before too. And it's amazing how much clarity comes from taking care of the physical side. So let's talk about something deeper, your sense of being. What gives you that sense of purpose in your work?
So like I said, I had a bunch of careers prior to this, and I got some enjoyment out of it, some satisfaction, but it never ignited my soul. And then when I got into it, I just felt this ignite and see how much it helps people. I was just visiting my fiance's family, and her grandmother has MS, and we shared a bowl and just seen her having shakes. And then 15 minutes later, her shakes are gone. That just motivates me. Or on the recreational side, we did a tasting at Mercy Wellness last month, and you see people shuffling in. It's the beginning of the weekend. This is the first kind of this event. Then they weren't sure what was going to happen. And by the end, they all left with big smiles. Did I change their life? No. But did I put a smile on their face, at least for the night, if not the weekend? Yeah. So those are like for the medical and the recreational. And I've gone into policy work, and well, a lot of people aren't aware of it, but people still get executed for cannabis. This guy last year in Singapore, he never even had possession. They executed him for 1.5 kilos, which is about 3 pounds, this on text messages. So that's something that really boils my blood, and I will not rest until every adult, they don't have to consume cannabis, but every adult in the world will have access to.
That's a noble goal, especially if they're executing you based on text messages. Come on, that's too much. Even to me, that's too much. I'm sorry. I get on the soapbox sometimes. But yeah, I agree with you. It's not a good thing to be doing that to somebody. So, how do you maintain belief in your mission when the business challenges hit hard?
So we're human, and it's okay to admit, some days like, wow, that was just a bad day. And, admit it to yourself, especially if you made a mistake, and kind of go back to the basics. It's easy to get caught up in details and different stuff like that. But, I'm sure everyone said throughout their entrepreneur career, especially at the beginning when stuff's really tough, like, why am I doing it? Is it really worth it? But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a rare opportunity to get into an industry on the ground level. This happens once maybe twice in a generation. And the fact that I'm able to do something that I love every day is a blessing. And in those moments, I remind myself, like, do I really want to have a boss? No, I hated having a boss. Do do I get to do something that's really cool, that is open doors and let the crazy, amazing experience? Absolutely. So it's about, remembering your core stuff, and when you hit those days, and yes, there definitely are challenges, especially in the cannabis space, especially as a small business. You deal with challenges every day.
That is true. Very true. All righty. So, has your spirituality or philosophy shaped the way you lead your team or community?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to lead by example. You can, I'm a big believer. Do as I do, not do as I say. It's very easy to
Mm-hmm.
just throw out words, and show that when it's crunch time, there isn't. If the most important thing that needs that moment is to sweep the stairs, I'll sweep the stairs. Like, there's no task that's above or beyond me. Obviously, as the company grows, you have to delegate and give out tasks, but to show that there is nothing that is below or above me to do. I believe in always hearing people out. It's really important. Even if I won't take their advice, we always make sure that there's a platform for people to be able to communicate. I think you froze. Hello?
Okay. I'm sorry. Somehow we lost the connection. Um,
Should we start that question over again?
sure. has your spirituality or philosophy shaped the way you lead your team or community?
Absolutely. So I'm a big believer in leading by example. So I practice is do as I do, not do as I say. It's very easy to just throw words around and show that there's no task that's beneath me or above me. If sweeping the stairs at that moment is the most important thing, I'll do that. Obviously, as we grow as a company, you need to delegate, and certain tasks it's important to have the people underneath you do, but in crunch time, I'm willing to do anything. Definitely do everything that I tell people to do. I've had to do it myself prior, just to know that I'm asking someone to do something that I can do myself. We always make sure that there's a platform for people to speak up. We might not always take the advice. We always want to make it a thing where always give know that you'll be heard, because sometimes you get so used to doing something a certain way, there's no scientific reason behind it. That's just how you did it. And then you bring on someone new to the team. They're like, hey, why are you doing this? How about doing like that? And then you think about it, like, oh, actually, that's a good idea. There's no reason. A lot of times there are reasons why to do stuff. So it's very important to make it very inclusive, be heard, and be patient with people.
I love that. Purpose really fuels everything. And of course, the purpose is also showing up in how we connect with people we love, which brings us to balance. So, how do you balance work and personal life in such a demanding industry?
Definitely a challenge. And there are ebbs and flows. So in moments where stuff isn't as busy, I maximize it as much as possible. It's when my fiance and I, our schedules are slightly off. So when we do have time together, we make the most out of it. We make sure 3 months ago, we decided that no matter how tired we are, at least once a week, we go out and do something. If that's even a walk around the block, but do something outside the house together, because it's important. Because at the end of the day, I want to build a career and all this different stuff, but I'm doing it to have a life, and you don't want to, completely lose yourself in your work. So it's definitely a challenge to make the time. And again, I'm glad that I have a very supportive life partner, and make sure that I stay grounded, because I can get caught up in my work sometimes and never take a break. And by taking those breaks, it actually makes you better at what you do. I guess you can just see stuff at it from a different perspective, and you have recharge batteries.
Well said. What have you learned about keeping strong relationships through entrepreneurship?
Absolutely vital. It's a cliche saying, your network is your net worth, but it really does help, especially at the beginning, knowing the right person in the right office. Uh, Example, we just had an inspection from the Office of Cannabis in San Francisco, and I knew both the inspectors, and they didn't do anything different, but the fact that we had a good familiar relationship, this made everything go a lot smoother. I know what they're looking for, what they like, so it's really important. And you never know when you're in a bind, and knowing the right people to help you out can really make the difference of your business, especially when you're starting out, or your business shutting down, or you've been able to continue.
I agree with that 100%. That was well said, because you do need to build relationships in any business, I think. And as a rule, you want to build good ones. Otherwise, you're not going to get too far. But has there been a time you lost balance, and how did you bring it back?
Oh, absolutely. When in the facility we're currently in, we took over in September 2023, and we were bootstrapping it. So it was just the three of us doing everything, and it was a ton of retrofitting and setting up and starting to grow and all that stuff. And I was getting up at 4 a.m. every day, and I had an hour and a half to 2 hour commute each way. And I would get home, eat dinner, and pass out within half an hour walking through the front door. And I do it 6, 7 days a week, and I completely erased myself. My whole social life disappeared, and it was even impacting my personal relationship. And yeah, like I had after 4 months of that, I was like, whoa, I've completely given, and it was a necessary thing to get stuff started, but yeah, I threw off my sleeping pattern and just I wasn't in a good place mentally. And I realized, I gotta we gotta start hiring people, we gotta start delegating and bring have some time for myself because it was getting rough at that point.
And understandable. You got to, when you expand, you expand. That's the important part. And I appreciate your honesty. It's a reminder that leadership starts at home. So let's bring it full circle and talk about the business, where your vision is headed next. So, what's the bigger mission behind your brand?
We would like every consumer to eventually consume cannabis that was grown in no-till living soil. Right now, we our main product is uh, branded Ace, but we want to expand it to other SKUs like pre-rolls and concentrates and maybe even edibles in the future. We still have where to go in California, but I, I would say we are starting to near, because we are a premium brand, there is just so many customers that consume, so it's expanding to other states, but the sky's the limit. If we can execute the vision we want to be an international recognized brand before we retire.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what do you see as the biggest opportunities in cannabis today?
So I would say if, taking a parallel from the tech industry, I believe, there's the .com in the 90s and, you can be a steel manufacturer and open the website and now you're a tech company and you're stuck with the ceiling. And then
Mhm.
obviously they weren't sustainable. And then there was a crash at the beginning of the 2000s. People call it tech 1.0. And then there was a financial crisis. After that, the Great Recession. And then beginning 2010s, that's when the tech started really picking up. So I feel like we're at the end of cannabis 1.0. I think there's still a little bit more of bottoming out, but we're near the end of it. And that opens up opportunities like the facility we were in. It was a distressed asset that we took over. I think, the people that have survived through all this, there is a lot of opportunities because obviously regulation could get worse, but for the most part, they have been, for the most part, getting better. Taxes are not getting as crazy and it's getting a little easier and there's less red tape. And at the beginning, the laws were very tumultuous and changing all the time when stuff was kind of stabilizing. So if you've been able to carve out a niche and hold on to it, then the cannabis 2.0, there'll be a lot of opportunities. Federal legalization will happen. It is going to take a while. My prediction right now is going to be 5 to 7 years, but there's a lot of opportunities in other states and there's other countries opening up. So, if you are in the industry and still around, hold on tight, stuff will get better. I would say if you're outside the industry, I would wait a little bit before you get it.
Well said, especially with the fact that legalization is coming. I mean, they're fighting it now. I know that for sure, but at the same time, you can't fight progress. Many have tried over the centuries we've been a country, and it doesn't work. Just ask the robber barons of old; they made their
Yeah,
fortunes that way. So, what leadership lessons have you learned that you wish you knew starting out?
that's a good question. Uh, Definitely the importance of delegating. I used to have the mindset, if you want to do it right, do it yourself. And I would take on sometimes more than I can chew. And it was hard for me to let go, especially like tasks stuff that I was really good at. Uh, you know, Handing it over. I should have handed those stuff over to my underlings sooner.
Definitely a leadership lesson to learn because I know delegating is hard for some people, especially in leadership. And it's just like, you kind of got to do that because you have other work to do. So I understand completely. So when people look back at your impact from years from now, what do you hope they remember you for?
I hope they remember me for being one of the first to do the no-till living cell practices, and one that his policy work was actually made a difference and an impact.
Well said. Very well said. Because, I mean, everybody wants to do their legacy, but some of them don't have a clear picture. You have one. And no-till soil, I agree, it's a legacy that's worth keeping. And it's inspiring. It's clear you're leading with both purpose and heart. So thank you, Nate Landau, for joining us and sharing your story. It's incredible to see how aligned you are in body, being, balance, and business. That's what true leadership looks like. So, Nate, thank you for your time.
Thanks
And
for
you have a
having
good...
me.
Oh, anytime. Stop recording.